Hi folks, right, today I'm back with something a little bit different for you. This video came in sort of a roundabout way. I've been watching some YouTube vids of a guy in America. Basically, I think he lives in the LA area, so you know it's quite a big city he lives in, and his videos are all about going to excuse me going to charity shops, which they call thrift stores out there, thrift shops, and buying vintage science fiction books, you know, for a couple of dollars each. And I've been watching about 5 or 6 of his videos and thinking how lucky he is to be able to wander out, you know, and just come back with carrier bags full of vintage science fiction, because it's almost impossible where I live. I mean, you know, it might be more possible in a place like Oxford, you know, where they've got lots of bookshops and you know, lots of students who shop stuff in. But we don't have many of the kind of bookshops that they have in the States here. So all I've got really is charity shops. So anyway, I thought I would conduct a little experiment, and I go to my local big city, which is Newcastle, each Friday every week, and I thought I would have a little change and go around all the charity shops to see if I could find any sort of like vintage science fiction, any science fiction really. But I mean, to be honest, all you can find now is sort of like sub-Tolkien fantasy stuff, which doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. And so it was, you know, I went round all of the charity shops that I was familiar with and came up empty. So I thought, oh, well, that's it. That's that. Then I remembered something in the back of my mind came to the fore, and I remember that there's an Amnesty International shop in the far reaches of Newcastle. You know, it's off the beaten track, and I thought, oh, I'll have a look around there. Now, as I say, it's Amnesty International, and it only does books. So I thought, oh, well, that might be a fair place to try. And as it was, I walked in, had a look around, and suddenly my eyes lit on the science fiction section, and lo and behold, there was quite a few vintage science fiction books there, which pleased me very, very much. And they were only £2 each, which pleased me even more. You don't have to worry about the postage, you know, when you buy them from eBay. So I had a good hunt through, and I came up with about 16. I mean, I could have spent more, but I sort of dialed it back a bit. And thought, okay, I'll get 15 or 16 here, and I'll do a little video. Because, as I say, you don't see vintage science fiction pickups too much in this country. In America, they call them hauls. They're like thrift book hauls, they call them. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, have a look. Just type in thrift book hauls, and you'll see a lot of videos of people who manage to pick this stuff up quite cheaply. So anyway, I'll just run through this this little batch that I did find. Now, when I say vintage, some of them are 80s, which kind of out of the vintage. I mean, it's vintage to me, 60s and 70s, at least, you know, 50 years old. But anyway, they were interesting, so I thought I'd pick them up anyway. So the first one I picked up was Arthur Fieldy, Larry Niven and Jerry Pannell. Now, I didn't read a lot that these guys did back in the 60s, 70s when I was reading for England, because it's more hard science fiction, you know, nuts and bolts, whereas I was more interested in the new wave stuff that I showed you last time. Yeah, this is a sphere paperback. It's not in bad shape, you know. I would say it was sort of like VG minus perhaps, and it was published. It's the it's the first British paperback published in 1982. So that's the first British edition in paperback. It probably came out in hardback before that, but yeah, I was quite pleased to get stuff like that. And then certainly there was this one, Earthwreck by Thomas Scorcher. I mean, I remember all of these names from way back. There again, he's an author that I've never read. This is more sort of like resonates with current problems. The Earth had become a radioactive mass, and the only human survivors are wanderers in space. And it goes on to tell you what the story is. This one's in very nice shape. This is sort of fine minus because the pages are not, not too browned. And this one was 1975 Coronet edition. There again, it looks like a first paperback. So yeah, I mean, I was pleased to revisit this kind of stuff, because the last time I managed to pick up stuff like this was about 5 years ago at a British Heart Foundation Oxfam shop in Durham, where I live. And they had a lot. I don't know if I did a video on those, but anyway, I might get around to doing that one day. I don't remember what I bought. The next one I picked up was Nightwings by Robert Silverberg. I've read some Silverberg stuff. He's quite a good science fiction writer. This one seems more like a space opera kind of thing, but it's in very nice condition. I'd say it was fine. The pages are perfectly white, and this one is a 1983 vintage. It's a third reprint, so it's the third, but quite nice. It's still sort of 40 years old or so. You can't complain for a couple of quid. And then there's this very nice Bantam Books Ray Bradbury. I've got a few of these. They did a series that all look like this, with Bradbury's name on and a bit of artwork in the back. I've read quite a bit of Bradbury, so I know what he's all about. This one is Timeless Stories for Today and Tomorrow. It's not in brilliant condition, I would say maybe it's good, but as I say, for what you're paying for these things, or for what I paid for them. This is the next library book, actually, you can see, but and this one is a 14th printing from 1972. But certainly one I don't mind adding to my collection, because I've quite a few Bradburys, and that's not one of them, fortunately. And this was a very, very nice pickup. You'll remember last video I showed you all the New Worlds SF. Well, this was kind of the sister. Excuse me, the sister publication, Science Fantasy, and it's got a story by Brian Aldiss in there. Kenneth Bulmer, who was a mainstay of the old British scene. So yeah, I mean, that was a nice one to pick up for a couple of quid. This is volume 22, number 65. Now I don't know at what point they went to paperback, but this is July 1964, so this is quite old. What are we talking? 50 years old. It's not in sort of like top condition, but as I say, for a couple of quid, I was quite happy to pick that up, because those books, New Worlds that I showed you last time, and Science Fantasy, they're quite expensive now. on eBay, and then this chappie here, Dan Galoo. I remember his name from the old days. I've never read him again. It's in okay condition though. It's not, the pages are not, just got a little bit of slight browning around the edges, but it's a book of 5 short stories, and it was the first Fair edition, so it's the first paperback, 1968. So it's got a bit of spine wear, but other than that, it's a nice tight copy. So I was quite happy to pick that one up, because I've got no books of his, so if I ever get round to reading stuff again, which I hope to do shortly. Right, you might remember the A for Andromeda series that was on telly or way back. Right, this is Fred Hoyle. I've got a book of his called The Black Cloud, which I read when I was very young. This is the sequel to A for Andromeda Breakthrough, and it's a corgi book. Some nice artwork. I quite like the artwork there. I thought it was a penguin when I first saw it, but it's a corgi book, and it's quite an early one. It's 1966, so there again, it's first paperback from 1966. Nice tight copy. A little bit of browning on the pages, but you expect that on 50-year-old books. It's very rare that you see a completely white one, and they're the ones that were printed on the back of stock. And it was a nice little find, actually. Project Jupiter by Frederick Brown. It hasn't got a date on it, but just looking at the art style, and I mean, it's got a 2 shillings price, so it's certainly pre-70s. But just looking at it, I would say that that's maybe late 50s. And you don't see too many sort of like 50s stuff, but it's a typical artwork, typical of that period. It's not in the best of condition, to be honest, but then again, as I say, it's mega old. It's not, it's not uncollectible, but it's not the sort of condition that I would prefer. But I mean, there's not too much. There's a bit of scuffing on the edge of some of the pages there, but I mean, the pages are fairly white. Frederick Brown was quite well thought of as an author back in the 50s, 60s. So, yeah, I was quite happy to pick that one up. And then last of all, I found this one. This one's in decent condition, little bend in the corner there, but 9 Tomorrows by Isaac Asimov. This is some more short stories. So this one was third printing paperback in 1972. So, it's still quite old. For what are we, 28? Yeah, for 50 years old, 72. So, yeah, I mean, there again, artwork typical of the 50s. So that was the bulk of the earlier stuff, and then I spotted these. I'll just show you. It's in the right way. Now, seven books from a series of 9 by E. Doc Smith, who he's a very famous science fiction author from the 50s, 60s. Not normally my cup of tea, to be perfectly honest. I don't like space opera, but having said that, you've got to consider that without these guys who were writing space operas in the 40s, well 30s, not here in particular, but the kind of authors who were, there wouldn't be any science fiction as we knew it, in the 60s, 70s and 80s when it was all the rage. So, you know, science fiction owes a debt to these guys, really. And I just thought I'd pick these up because it was a nice little series. It's missing the first volume, which was Imperial Stars, and it's missing the last volume, number 9, which I can't remember the name of, but it's awfully expensive on eBay. I mean, I've sent away for the first one. It's only a couple of quid on eBay, free postage, so just over a couple of quid. So at least I've got the first 8. But yeah, it's the D'Alembert series. Now, I'm not familiar, but I mean, these are all in very nice shape. And I thought it might be a good opportunity. And I mean, they're all, you know, lovely white pages. All the spines are intact, you know, there's no bend. I just thought it might be a chance for me to indulge in some of this space opera, give it a go anyway. These were printed, first one was 1977, and obviously the others will be a bit later than that. I don't know how often they were printed, but I would imagine they would have come out every few months, you know. So anyway, that was volume 2, Strangler's Moon. As I say, they all have very, very similar covers and artwork. Clockwork Trader, nice stuff. It's a pity they spoil, you know, cover with so much. You know, they could make this a bit smaller, but I suppose they want to highlight, you know, who's done it and what the book is. But, you know, it would be nice if they could fit it into maybe, you know, that much, and then you've got a bit more artwork space. Getaway World. As I say, these are all in the D'Alembert family series. I'm familiar with the Skylark series that he did, Duquesne or Duquesne, however it was pronounced. That one, the Bloodstar Conspiracy. That's number 5, and then number 6, nice cover. The Purity Plot. And we've got number 7, which is Planet of Treachery. I mean, you can tell by the titles that these are the pulpy, sort of like space opera type of jobbies. But then we've got, what's that one? Eclipsing Binaries. Oh, that sounds a bit more posh, more science fiction-y. But yeah, I mean, I thought for a couple of quid, there's nothing lost there. If I can get the other couple reasonably cheaply, you know, get the full set and maybe sit down and read them one day. Yeah, folks, so that was my little trip out to the charity shops of Newcastle, which finally gave something up, which I was very pleased about. So, yeah, I mean, you know, those of you who are into science fiction remember this stuff. I hope you enjoyed that, and the rest of you, maybe you learned something from it, but I'm not likely to be able to pick that stuff up very often, so appreciate it while it's there. Okie doke, I'll be along shortly with, I'm thinking of doing a video about, while we're on the subject of paperbacks, I've got a very nice little run of the Doc Savage paperbacks that Bantam did in America way back started in the 60s, with nice covers by an American artist called James Balmer, who some of you might have heard of, but many of you won't. But anyway, I'll keep all that stuff till next time, and thank you for watching this time. Oh, I should mention just before I go, if any of you are experiencing ads in my videos, I just noticed it the other day actually. It's not me. I said from the beginning I'm never going to be monetized, but apparently it's in the terms and conditions now that they can stick any ads on your videos that they like. So yeah, if you see any, don't blame me. Nothing to do with me whatsoever. Okay, so I'll close it there, and I will see you in the very near future. And thanks for watching again. Bye bye now.